It's been over a year since the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing League has raced at Summit Point, and tonight it will be the first ever visit for the new spec MX-5 Cup cars. But most likely, everyone racing this round will be quite familiar with this circuit on iRacing. It's one of the first circuits made available to new members, free. From the early 70s through the 80s, it hosted a number of pro races and one is an early favorite of one P.L. Newman when he ran the Bob Sharp prepared Datsun 510s. Since the late 80s, however, while it no longer holds any pro events, it has remained very popular with various club racing groups and vintage and historic series. And for one, it is a truly wonderful club track, and it's an excellent test of driver skill. The track is surprisingly technical in nature with abrupt elevation changes and hard on tires. It also is unusually long for a club track, especially the main straight. Hi everybody, welcome to Summit Point and round 12 of the SMX Series. I'm Greg Creamer and joining me tonight is Finian DeCoon. And Finian, this track is beautiful but also a very fun challenge.
Yeah, it's absolutely a very fun track to tackle, and like you mentioned, it's free for all iRacing members. This is usually where they get their start, and they used to be in this exact car. I was me in that car in a Mazda MX-5 putting around here, trying to see what they can do and learn the ropes. It's a fantastic track as a rookie, and once you even get up in the pro level in the higher echelons of iRacing to tackle this track, it is really, really rewarding to get a lap around here done and get a lap done around here well as these drivers get into qualifying.
Yeah, it's a really technical challenge. It only has 40 feet of total elevation change, but it kind of happens like Mid-Ohio. It's usually up and over a brow, and a little bit it drops at just the wrong point, and you lose grip, and you get compression when you maybe don't want it. All kinds of little tricks. It's tough on tires, as we said. Lots of different pavement changes. It's a fun ride. And as you can see, pretty cloudy right now, so track temp's not going to be too high, Finian. This should really set us up for an awful lot of fun.
Yeah, and we'll see how these drivers are going to get down using that cooler track temp to get a solid time in. Jose De La Casas in the 717. Working his way around the racetrack. Currently fastest time of the drivers coming through, but those times are changing quickly. Skip Brock Jr. immediately jumping up as the drivers get their first set of times in. About 11 and a half minutes remaining in qualifying.
Yeah, I think Jose was probably first out of the pits and got a nice lap in. Nice to see him back in the Barbie liveried car. He just really enjoys that. And here you can see, now this is it is the most important turn on the track, turn 10, because it's a fast corner leading onto a near 3,000-foot straight. And as a result, what it really comes down to is you've got to get turn 10 right twice in qualifying for a really good lap. You've got to get the launch out of it, and then you've got to get it right when you come back through. And then you get into turn 1, tight corner, but increasing radius on the exit. Drops a little downhill on the exit. And then right about, well, you can see it up in the distance, Finian, just a little bit of a climb. As you head into 3, you could brake a little later than you anticipate, pick the throttle up a little bit sooner, but as soon as you do, you're up and over one of those rises.
Yeah, then flying down towards turn number 5. You got to go flying through a right-hand corner, deep on the brakes. Another big passing opportunity. A lot of risk, though. We've seen many drivers miss that corner, go flying off the racetrack. Hard corner to get right on the braking, but if you get it, you can gain a spot through the carousel, and then very much a rhythm section. Everyone going to be going full speed through here. Maybe some side-to-side action here through the S's, and then heading back towards that final corner. And you mentioned it before. Very, very important to get that corner right, because if you get a poor exit, well, if you have a train of cars behind you, they're going to get a fantastic run and the slipstream down and make a pass on you by turn 1.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's really crucial to get through here well. As I said, twice the lap. And, everybody tends to think sometimes here that turn 10 is the fastest corner. Well, it's not. It's actually turn 4. So you come blistering through turn 4, and then it's hard onto the brakes as you drop downhill into 5. And if you're really on a fast qualifying lap, you just want to just throw away the exit or the entry to 5, because you need to be on the throttle correctly out of 6. because if you get that right, you're flat in these cars through 7, 8, and the crucial launch onto turn 9. Again, a little bit of an uphill as you exit 9, but that's another longish straight. So you've got to really turn 5, throw it away, set up right for 6 to get through 7, 8, 9 right. Lots, that's what we talk about with this technical track. Turn 3, if you get it right, you sort of drive it essentially like you're driving a sweeper, but then that just comes back at you a little bit on the exit. You see everybody over in the gravel quite a bit. So you've just got to be aware of these little nuances on this track, and that's what makes it technical. That's what makes it a real driver's track.
You saw a lot of drivers pull off the racetrack, getting a couple laps in, and now everyone resetting, getting back out there with some fresh tires to work with. Skip Brock Jr., one of the drivers you saw jump to the top few spots, currently sitting in third as drivers are getting back out on the racetrack to make their second run and a chance at getting a spot. Taking a look at Morgan Burkhart, who was in the middle of this gigantic pack of cars. I actually saw when we were doing the intro, whoa, massive crash for the 54 machine. Who is that in the 54?
That was a little bit optimistic. That's Ray Blethen.
Went flying. I never seen a car do that. That was impressive to see in these things.
Yeah, I mean, he just split. He tried to split 2 cars and had such a head of steam relative to them, they didn't even realize he was coming. And Morgan Burkhart, you pointed him out, Finian. He's only been able to run a few races relative to everybody else. He's only run 5 events or 10 actual races here. That's got him well back in the points. So Morgan right now, I'm not sure what his commitments are for the remainder of our season, but he may just be out to, just for wins at this stage, because it's 172 points back in the championship. That said, 25 points a race, 2 races per event. This plus 3 more is 4 events. There's 400 points on the line, but with the caliber of drivers up front, Finian, like Nicholas Rice-Puto and Beans Forrester and Camden Hibbett, Josh Soto, et cetera, it's going to be awfully tough for Morgan to earn that 4th championship.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if he has any sort of shot, but I mean, that's always kind of a fun position to be in. You may not be getting the championship, but to just kind of go out there, you don't have to worry about having a good point state. You can just focus on pushing as hard as you can, as much as you can, just trying to get the wins. At least you get something to your name. So it's kind of a fun position to be in. We'll see. And we kind of expect Morgan Burkhart to have his name near the front as he being forced to take a little bit of a trip off the racetrack. I think that might invalidate his qualifying lap. It's so easy to do when you're pushing out of that turn.
Yeah, everybody eats some of that gravel virtually every lap. And one of the things in the drivers' meeting briefing that I was looking at, they are really saying, if you go far enough off there at the exit at 3, that will be considered a track limits violation. Not necessarily going to be, unless you're way off track, then you would delete laps and everything. But they said, the minute you do that, if you come back on and you're bouncing around and you get into somebody, that's your fault. And I think that's really important for us to point out, that there's a very active and knowledgeable stewards group here that oversees this stuff. So they're watching this as closely as you would at a real world pro race. We got a great group of stewards here. They are on their game.
Yeah, and I can understand the hardship of trying to police everyone in a series after recently picking up duties in stewardship. And yeah, if there's one thing I know that professional drivers love to do, they love to push the limit. You give them a limit, they will dance not below it, they will dance right on it as much as they can, as much allowance as they have, because that means they get a faster lap time, and that's exactly what they want. You can see a couple drivers right there. Talk about dancing the limit. A couple drivers just on the curbing, just a little bit of a dip into the gravel on the exit.
Yeah, and that's that won't be any issue. Those guys that had all 4 off there, that's going to get looked at. Here's a good look at Josh Soto. For a while there, he was up into the top 3 in the points. He's had a couple of slightly rough races and dropped back a little bit. Talking about the points, Nicholas Rice-Puto, going into the previous round, had a nice, healthy lead, but it was, it was 16 points. Let me rephrase that. He was leading, but his margin was only 16 points after having been a healthy 30. There, I'll get that right. He had a better weekend relative to some of his competition in the previous round at Mid-Ohio. He got back 4 of those points. So he's up by 20 over Beans, but Camden Hibbett has closed down to only 2 points behind Beans, only 22 behind Rice Pudo. So he's still very much in it for the championship. Then it's another 27 back to Soto, another 41 back to Brock. So once you get out of the top 3, maybe Soto in 4th, it's going to be really difficult, for those other guys to really have a shot at this championship. But there's a look at Skip Brock in that blue and yellow machine. Nobody is going to be giving up on this at all. And right now, it's Nicholas Rice Pudo would top the order with a minute 21.7. That is the only driver that is dipped below 122 right now, Finian. It's about a quarter of a second margin. That's pretty sizable in this group.
Yeah, I'm looking to see. He's looking to be on a pretty solid lap so long as it was clean and so long as the timing's accurate. This could be a very quick lap for the 32 across the line. Scoring showing it might be 2 seconds faster. We'll see across the line. It will not, so it will lie to me. But Camden Hibbett went a little bit faster, a little closer to Rice Pudo by a tenth and a half.
Well, and he pulled Skip Brock into a beautiful lap with that great toe. Remember, as I said, this front straight, 2,980 in terms of feet, 2,980 feet. That is a long pull.
And Camden Hibbett working his way past Skip Brock Jr. on the racetrack, and both of them are fighting for the last couple of top spots. And actually, Camden Hibbett made a pass on Skip Brock as he was getting into some turmoil there. That was around the 20, I believe. Is that Josh Soto? No, it's not Josh Soto. That is Deacon Greenfield in the number 20
Deacon?
machine.
Yeah, that is Deacon, and he's he's had some frustrating races.
Yeah, taking a look at him there, concentration on his face. So he's working his way on through the shifter as well, heading through the final corner. And I'm curious to see Camden Hibbett. Again, it's showing him on a very quick lap. I don't really believe it after I saw it the first time. I think Skip Brock Jr. is looking quicker, but that seems to be potentially believable. We'll see across the line for the 32. It is not. Okay, I should just not trust the... I get an indication based off their average pace, and I think actually, that's why, because it's average pace.
Yeah, there you go. Kind of average with a few laps. Gotcha. There is Soto just outside of the 121 range at a 22 flat, then Skip, then Beans. And I'll tell you what, I keep talking about this, and I'm sure Beans is tired of hearing it, but he has been so good with his driving this year. Yeah, he's improved. I mean, he's always good. He's improved his qualifying a bit, but he keeps, when you think about it, Nicholas Rice Pudo, average starting position, 3.9. Camden Hibbett, 2.4. That sort of thing.
Skip Brock around.
Brock having a moment there. But Beans is he's qualifying on an average outside of the top 4. And I think if he can get, the last race he qualified in 4th and went on to have an absolutely fabulous event, putting together a great run, getting a 3rd win, I believe. So, if he could just get this qualifying thing figured out, and he'll tell you he just struggles with that a little bit, but man, when he gets it right, he's an absolute force.
Camden Hibbett across the line, everyone getting their last couple of times in, because if I'm not mistaken, this will be the end of qualifying. When the timer hits 0, they won't be able to continue their lap. So Camden Hibbett in 2nd, Joshua Soto in 3rd, but it looks like Nicholas Rice Pudo will be the one taking pole position here as qualifying comes to an end. The 0-3 Rice Pudo, another pole to his name.
Yeah, nice job for him. His 7th on the season. He has been just a qualifying phenom. The other guy with... let's see, it's Camden Hibbett and Morgan Burkhardt also with 5 each, but 7 now for Rice Pudo. You start on the inside of the front row, that's always going to be a bonus. There's no question about that. While we have this break here, before we get ready to go, let's quickly say a big thanks to our sponsors. We always have to start with, of course, Full Send Sims. Court Schmidt, hope he's feeling better. We haven't seen Court I was hoping to. He is. He's out here running.
Oh, nice.
He was a sick puppy last week with a nasty flu. So great to see him out on the grid and getting after it. Of course, it was his vision that created not only the amazing full send sims, but this great league as well. Practice makes podium, and that starts right here. Then, of course, a big thanks to Sabelt coming on as our most recent sponsor, and man, are we fortunate to have them in our support partnership. They make amazing products, safety products of every kind in need, tested beyond anybody else. They just do an incredible job. FARA, of course, Jose de las Casas. We were following him earlier, one of the three principals of FARA. Great series now under some new guidance and leadership, and have really been taking it to the next level. And of course, we've got 3P Logistics. Absolutely phenomenal, as it says there, track services of every kind. And that's just so critically important to be able to have that kind of support. They've been with us since the very beginning, as has Final Turn Motorsports, another full-service prep shop, and they do so much driver development from licensing all the way to pro-level racing. And then Wine Country Motorsports. They are your one-stop shop for sim racing gear and full-send sims, turnkey custom simulators, also for helmet, suits, gloves, shoes, seats, and harnesses for over 30 years. If you're looking for the best in terms of saw belt, you can get it at Wine Country. So with that, field is getting ready to head out on the pace lap. I have a feeling it's time for our starting lineup, and there you see it. Nicholas Rice-Puto with the 0-3, the point leader, starts on the pole outside the front row, third in the points, but very close to 132 of Camden Hibbett. Finian?
Yeah, moving on back to row number 2, Joshua Soto lined up in the 77 machine in third. Next to him, Skip Brock Jr. in fourth. He's lined up in the 32 car.
And starting in fifth, the 23 of Beans Forrester, second in the championship right now. And Morgan Burkhardt, a little farther back than we usually see him in the championship and in qualifying, starting sixth.
Moving on back to seventh place, Jake Snedden in the number 11 machine is lined up next to Dylan Lee. He's running in eighth in the 2 car.
And looking at the ninth starting spot, the number 9 of Daniel Higgins, and in 10th, Deacon Greenfield in the number 20.
Moving on back to 11th place, it's going to be Ian Anderson in the 147. Next to him, Trace Hans. He's in the 53 car in 12th.
Starting 13th to 65 of Hayden Manis, who's been was really fast at Mid-Ohio. Starting in the 14th spot, the number 6 of Elliott Burton.
Moving on back to 15th, it's going to be Michael Brock in the 421. Next to him, Court Schmidt lined up in the 33. Glad to see him back on the track in 16th.
Starting 17th to 54, Ray Blethen, who we saw go airborne there in that qualifying session. Bob Mueller Jr. starts 18th in his number 60.
Chris Lambett's going to be lined up 19th in the 3. Next to him, Jim Freidhofer, 20th in the 89.
Starting 21st, the 717 of Jose de las Casas. Starting 22nd, Seth Bowman in the 042.
And rounding out your field, 24 cars strong, it's going to be Stefan Blethen in the 50 machine. Wayne Buttermore in the 73 will round out in 24th. All right, field lined up, ready to go, approaching the back straightaway. And take one last look at our weather to see how things are looking up for this race.
Ooh, the sun came out and that track temp's going up a little, isn't it?
Getting a little bit warmer, so these guys are going to be a little bit more careful out there compared to qualifying.
All right, pace car makes its move, and it's about halfway down this long straight is the start-finish line, which means two things. It takes forever to get to the green flag, but coming to the checker, you've got time to make a draft and pass move. So that's the positive side of things, but wait for it. Looking for the green flag. We're green. Race 1, I should say, of round 12. We are underway. And looks like Nicholas Rice-Puto, with a little bit of help from Josh Soto, able to keep that nose ahead of Camden Hibbett. And he's got the inside and dives to the inside. Camden's going to try and ramp the outside and not give up a spot to Soto. Looks like he may have been able to get to, well, Soto's still right there. But now Skip Brock wants to follow Camden through, jumps over behind Camden, is on the inside of Soto. Everybody pretty good, at least in the first half of the field, through the exit of 3, not a whole lot of gravel flying in the air. And here we go, downhill at speed, hard on the brakes into 5, Finian.
Hard on the brakes, turn 5 for the first time. Everyone trying to still jockey for position. Jason Hedden in the 11 car in 7th place, moving up a spot. Saw Skip Rock Jr. jumping down a couple of spots, pushed out wide. Still might lose another spot side by side with the 11. Or sorry, the 77, I should say, of Joshua Soto, who's still not giving that position up. And actually, Jake Senden in behind trying to get that spot. Couldn't get it done. And I also wanted to point out the 65, Hayden Manis. He did a fantastic job on the start. He went 3 wide on the front straightaway, taking some grass. He might be 3 wide again into the final corner.
Yeah, he looked like it for a second, didn't it? Dylan Lee wanting to go around the outside. Hayden way wide. And that, even though it's a pretty, easy run out of that, nice and straight, it could cost you a little bit of momentum. Trace Hance there in that blue and orange car trying to give Dylan a bit of a push here as they're working around. I think that is Daniel Higgins they're trying to fight with. There's Soto in the 77. Slid back 1 spot to, guess who? A quickly starting Morgan Burkhardt, like he does.
Yeah, great job. Already plus 3 spots, and we're just completed only 1 lap. Still plenty of racing left to go. And look at them throwing the gravel out there. Hello, someone out there on the rallycross configuration.
Yeah, that was
Ian Anderson, Michael Brook in the 421 out there dirt tracking.
Yeah, way out there. It's got a new livery on it as well. So now, well, this will be interesting because the 2 teammates yet absolutely tooth and nail adversaries, Hibbett and Burkhardt, are running nose to tail again. It's Hibbett in front of Burkhardt at this stage, but it's for second, not the lead. Nicholas Rice-Puto has himself about a 0.4 of a second gap. That's not going to last very long here because they're going to be able to make the run. Here we go on board with Beans. You can see that pack up front working to stay. And again, long draft opportunity here. And Beans just sitting back, kind of tucking in right now behind Soto.
Yeah, for the leaders, a lot of it's going to be playing the waiting game. Some of the drivers may not necessarily go for the lead early on, but for some of the drivers further on back, they're trying to make up some moves, make up some spots. Deacon Greenfield, I see dropping down the order. I think he might have had a slight off-track excursion here.
And saw a little bump there, too.
Yeah. Saw a little piece of that in the replay. Let's take a look here, side by side for position, then down into turn 1 here.
He got some air, yeah. The number 6 of Burton dove down to the inside, and Dylan Lee had to shift over a little bit. Deacon was there. I'll tell you, that's the kind of luck Deacon's had. When he's got a nice clean race, he's usually a top 5 contender easily. Had a really good run at Mid-Ohio, but man, sometimes he has just the most atrocious luck. And, I want to give a quick shout out here. If we could drop back, Vinny, to number 11, Snedden. He was just granted the opportunity. He's been running in the SM Spec Miata category. And, of course, this year for the first time, Spec Miata runs on Monday nights. It's not broadcast. And it's sort of the, if you want to try out the full Sin Sims League, you start in Spec Miata. And if you acquit yourself well, you can apply to get moved up into SMX. He's been really good in Spec Miata and has come in here, got the approval just yesterday, and is up and running a solid 7th with some of the very quickest guys in this league. That's just impressive, Finian.
Yeah, he's been waiting in the rings, and clearly he's got some talent ready to show it, fighting with the major drivers in the series. He's up there with Rice-Puto, Burkhardt, Hibbett, Soto, Forrester, Skip Rock Jr., all these names. I've only been in this series broadcasted series a couple of times, but I know those drivers all quick, usually in the top 3 in some form or order. To see him up there right in behind them, ready to fight and ready to pounce should one of them make a mistake this race. Very impressive stuff. We'll see if he's got anything left in the tank as we're just about 5 minutes into this race. So still plenty of racing left to go. Rice-Puto trying to form a little bit of a lead ahead of Morgan Burkhardt, but it's not really that much.
Yeah, they're all up front. They're running fairly similar times. So every time Rice-Puto opens something up a little bit, the guys behind Burkhardt, Hibbett, as obviously while we were looking at Sned, Burkhardt slipped through on Camden Hibbett. They're all relatively similar times. You get on this long straight. you're going to pull those guys along. The other thing, real quick, about Snedden that I've been, just so far, it's the first time I've seen him run. When he's been in thick traffic, I've really liked his decision making. He's just coming into the league for the first time at the SMX level, not doing anything rash. If one of the regulars makes a big move that's in the points, he's just opening the door up for him, letting things go here. And look at this fun little battle. Court Schmidt right in the midst of it with the 421 of Brock. Oh, boy, Court got a great run. I think Brock checked up because of the guy in front of him. Mueller had that wild run into the gravel for 3. Brock checked up just out of being a little bit responsible. And Court, I don't think he necessarily saw Mueller go off and was hard on the throttle. I think after a week in bed, Court just had enough and is going to get his elbows up.
Yeah, I got a great shot of him. I went to the Zoom camera. I got to see him work the wheel there, trying to hang on, and see a little bit of a panic in the movement, but of course, professional getting it done and get to the car back in the right direction. We'll try once more on the 421 and get to break inside the top 15, but a decent return for the 33, so running strong. Whoa, hello.
Whoa.
Getting out there.
That's a big off and on right there.
Hello.
Oh, look at this battle. It's 3 wide down the front straight. Rice Puto has position on the inside. Soto crossed up as he got on the brakes. The back end stepped out. He saved it. 2 by 2 at the exit of 2. And up now, heading toward 3 again. Rice Puto has the inside, but if Burkhardt can stay around the outside, he could be in good shape. Rice Puto gives him a little bit of room, costs him a little bit of exit speed, and Hibbett comes right up. And look at that. Rice Puto just shut the door on Hibbett, and understandably so. Rice Puto is not going to mess around with Burkhardt, but he is going to defend on Hibbett as much as he can, but Hibbett just had the right position and slides through. But right there, we just saw Nicholas Rice Puto's mind-positioned mental attitude regarding the teammates. Hibbett, who's only a few points behind him in the championship, and Burkhardt, who's way, way back. Let Burkhardt through, make it really hard on Hibbett.
Yeah, fantastic stuff there. I thought we were going to see be a little bit more calm for a little bit longer, but no, they went at it. 3-1 into turn 1. They made it out, but it's not done yet. Here comes Rice Puto back with a run, a little bit of a bum draft to Camden Hibbett, maybe trying to force him to make a move. There goes the 6-7 of Burkhardt going defensive into turn 1, side by side into turn 1 with Hibbett.
All right, down we go. Look at that! Contact by both Hibbett. Well, all 3 of them touched a little bit. And I think Burkhardt tried his classic overslow in the turn. Hibbett had to check up. Rice Puto got into him. And look at this move now. Soto coming through. Look at Snedden getting up and underneath and alongside. No less a talent than Beans Forrester. Jake Snedden, welcome to SMX, man.
Ooh, we went wide there on the exit heading into turn 5. Almost caught a bit of grass. See many drivers get that grass and wipe out. Kept it going. Still fighting to the outside of the 23 of Beans Forrester trying to get this spot. But now here comes the 65. Hayden Mann is trying to make an opportunity here.
But look at that. Snedden not giving him any opportunity. And now comes across. Hayden has to check up just a little bit. Trace Hance goes wide. And Snedden now has the nose ahead. And which way does Trace go? Looks like he might be thinking of, oh, look at that, a late move by Mann is down into 10. And that is going, I thought it might compromise them both, and it did. Here comes Trace. He's going to make it 3 wide here as he wants to move up and grab 7th.
Look at that three-way battle.
Look at this for the lead, too. Hibbett thinking about it. He looked, another touch. These two are absolutely hammer and tong here. And remember, Burkhardt not in the championship. And, Hibbett is always very, very politically nice and diplomatic when he talks.
Speaking of nice, not so much niceness going on back here. They're bumping, bumping fenders back here.
We saw some other chunks going up in the air, too. Man, this is just furious.
Someone might want to tell them there's still half the race left to go. They're fighting this hard.
No kidding.
Great stuff for the lead. Still not done yet. Look at this dive by Rice Puto. A hip check to the 132, I should say, of Camden Hibbett. Ooh, I heard some more carnage in the background as well.
Yeah, this is a real concern now because, Morgan Burkhart, one thing, he truly does have the gift. There's no question. And one thing, it's Brock is out. But the one thing that Morgan does.
That was the explosion sound. I think he downshifted
popped
incorrectly.
The motor.
Yep.
Yeah. But the one thing that Morgan will do on a true driver's track, if he can get to the front, he wants to make a statement and just try and drive away. He's got a 3/4 of a second lead right now. And the last thing that these guys want to be doing is what they're doing. Now, again, this is Soto on back, Soto, Brock, Beans. But right now, Hibbett and Rice Pudo, they've got to play nice. Do not race each other. Do not let Morgan get away. If they do, it's all over.
See Beans Forster making the pass there on Joshua Soto, is now looking up to see if he can make a move on Skip Brock Jr. all over the back of him, heading through turn 4. Flying off, not completely in the gravel, trying to look maybe right, maybe left. Tries to offset a little bit right, trying to scare Skip Brock out of the position, but no dice heading to turn 5.
Yeah, Brock didn't take that bait, did he? Oh, look at Beans rolled a little bit more speed. Now this is the key. Get out of here, and as I said, if you get 6 right, you can be virtually flat in these cars all the way to the exit of the slight uphill at 9. As you go through 9, though, the track crowns, and so you've got to be a little careful sometime. But here's where that run will tell the tale. If you've got enough built up to be able to get down, he did not. But look at the margin. Morgan continues to hang on right now by about 8/10. Yeah, Hibbett and Rice Pudo, they've got to really get their heads down and work together here big time. Brock kind of in a lonely 4th, and I say lonely relatively speaking, of course. And then Forster, Soto in that group.
Oh, hello.
Here they and Soto and Beans side by side. Manis in that gray 65 trying to do something as well. And Trace Hance has done a nice job. Where did he start in this one? I think Trace may have come from a fair way back here. Yeah, 12th. Yeah. And duking it out right now. He's in 8th and looking for 6th.
One of the biggest movers of the race, the biggest mover, Morgan Burkhart, up 5 spots from 6th. Might get one spot here. Look to the inside of the 23 of Beans Forrester, who's still struggling to fight here. Ooh, I think got into Hayden Manis just a little bit, pushed him white. Here they go, fighting side by side here through the next few corners.
Oh, man, Beans is going to be, I think, absolutely beside himself because, remember, he came in here 2nd in the points, only 20 back of Rice Pudo. And right now, Beans is back in 8th. He's just getting everywhere he goes. He gets contact like that. He ends up on the wrong line. It's just been a race of look at, here comes Trace down to the inside as well. That's another spot. Wow. This has been a tough race for Beans.
And not done yet. Look at him. He's struggling to fight 3 wide, getting swamped on all sides. And I'm wondering how hard he's going to push it here into turn 1, being in the middle 3 wide.
Yeah, and that's Snedden down to the inside. And, Beans, he's smart, that's for sure. And he said, if I try and force this 3 wide, it's going to be a big wreck and I could get caught up in it. So he just checked up a little bit, gave that spot up. I mean, in the long run, that was smart thinking. But, obviously when there's a bump on the back of Snedden and Snedden gets tossed into the back of Trace, look at the back end of Trace's car dancing and hanging on after that contact. What a save by Trace.
It's still side by side behind Dylan Lee, Elliot Burden fighting for 10th place. Heading into turn 5, that battle far from over between both of them, and then trying to see maybe they can catch up on Beans Forster.
And something, oh man, Dylan almost got up on bicycle there, but up front, the margin is gone as look who's in 2nd now. Rice Pudo got around on Hibbett, and I don't know whether Burkhart made a mistake. He must have. Morgan Burkhart doesn't give up 3/4 of a second in a lap, so he must have had some sort of a moment, but looked like he was going to check out in the field, Finian, and suddenly the points leader right on his 6th. And now remember, Burkhart is a teammate to Hibbett, so he might be, thinking about making it really difficult on Rice Pudo here, on doing anything but letting Hibbett slide through smartly. Look at that over-under by Rice Pudo, though. That was beautiful.
Textbook right there for Rasputo. Gets the spot. I don't know if he's clear. He is clear finally through. And here comes Camden Hibbett also trying to move, using the same maneuver, trying to follow on through Rasputo. Now around the outside will cut off Burkhardt. Burkhardt in just a few corners loses both spots and the lead.
Yeah, wow. I'm really curious as to what happened with Burkhardt. If this thing ever calms down, maybe we can go back and take a look. But something, I mean, look what that battling's done. Look at Skip Rock. He's right there. Burkhardt going around his teammate, who's a solid third in the points, trying the outside. Ooh. Another tap. Those two guys have bounced off each other. I would think Camden Hibbett should be seething right now, considering Morgan's his teammate. And look what that's done. That's let Rasputo get out by over half a second and brought Brock Soto right into this battle here.
A couple of battle scores on a lot of these cars in the top few positions. They've been battling very hard. You can see the dents and bruises as they work through the final corner back into the front straightaway. Just over 3 minutes remaining, expecting about 3 laps left to go. And they're starting to run out of opportunities. Here comes Joshua Soto trying to make an opportunity. Looks to the left-hand side of Skip Brock Jr.
Yeah, and remember now, Skip Brock is 5th in the points. Soto is 4th, but there's 41 points between them. So Soto is the more realistic one to maybe still have an outside shot at this championship. But, you know, for Skip, he may, you know, kind of accept that, okay, I really probably don't have a shot at the championship, but I got a shot at the top 3, and that's better than 5th. So I think these two are going to put on as fierce a battle. As we see up front, somebody up in that front group just ran way wide, too. Oh. Look at Snedden fighting with Trace Hans. And look at that move by Elliott Burton there. That's that car to the inside with that sort of purple delta on the hood here. He just got into the back of Snedden. This is absolutely furious stuff.
Yeah, that was Elliott Burton that got into the back. Whoa, Dylan Lee going off the racetrack. I thought he was going to go off into the forest there for a second. Corrects back on, drops back down to 14th, but this is an intense battle just outside the leading group. Hayden Manis actually has checked out from this group. Trace Hans, Beans Forster, Jake Snedden lead this group 7th, 8th, and 9th. And speaking of the leaders, back on the front straightaway for them with under 2 minutes remaining.
Well, I'll tell you, Hayden Manis making a real habit of that ultra-wide run through 10 as we go back up front, and Rasputo's going to have to protect here. He does not want to get by Burkhardt, though. Look at that, gets that nose ahead, and now watch for that. I was wondering, I was expecting even a little bit more aggression out of Camden to dive down underneath, and right now Burkhardt's got that inside as they head up into 3. And Rasputo, he doesn't fight it, and here comes Hibbett. They're going to be side by side through 3.
Camden Hibbett
gives
smile on his face as he's trying to figure out where he wants to go. Does he go right? Does he go left? He's kind of sticking in the middle.
Oh, in deep goes Rasputo. Hangs onto it. Burkhardt went in a little deep too, but somehow Rasputo, look at the position. I don't know how he held on to that. Now, he may not be able to sustain this because Burkhardt's going to have the inside here through this little flick at 8. But now here comes the run through 9 and onto that straight.
Oh, through
and Hibbett was, I was going to say, he was getting a double toe through the yeses, and here he comes.
Through the forest, there they go, 3 wide into the final corner. Out they will go.
Oh, man. How did they not all come together? White flag. Man, this one has flown by, and this is going to get fierce. And Brock helping Hibbett big time. Rasputo all by himself. No help from anybody. But Burkhardt's got the lead, but here comes Hibbett. Burkhardt did not close the door too firmly.
Oh boy, 6-way battle for the lead. Oh, Rasputo almost hooking Camden, hit it around. Still not done. Up ahead, Burkhardt's away. A 3-way fight for second heading into the turn. Oh, Hibbett around.
Hibbett around, and look at that. He saved it. Manis gets caught by Soto.
Wreck.
Soto's off. A massive amount of cars involved here. There's Hibbett just trying to get gathered up and going again. It's Burkhardt leading with Brock second. Oh, look at it. That's what a gift for Forster and Snedden. What a job this guy's doing here.
Fantastic opportunity for them. I said if something happened to leaders, he can have a great day, but he's still got to fight hard for the 6th. Valley Burton trying to give him a hard time on his debut in this series. Hip checking a couple other drivers. Ian Anderson out in around almost there, but heading through the final quarter, Morgan Burkhardt, no one around him.
No one around him. Skip Brock is going to end up with a very, very solid second and great points. Rice Pudo is going to finish in 3rd. And when you think about where all of his points competitors are, they are way back. So for Rice Pudo, with Hibbett right there, it was looking kind of bleak for a moment. And then all hell broke loose. And in the end, it was Rice Pudo and Forrester that really benefited massively, Finian.
Yeah, fantastic stuff here as the final few finishers come across the line. We'll quickly take a look at the results for race number 1. Morgan Burkhardt taking the win. Skip Brock Jr., he's going to be very happy with that result. 2nd place for him, Rasputo in 3rd. Beans Forrester 4th. And how about Trace Hands getting 5th place out of all of that?
Yeah, what a drive. And again, the debut for Jake Snedden, 6th in this group. Elliot Burton fighting 7th, Deacon Greenfield in 8th, Dylan Lee 9th, Ian Anderson in 10th. And, it's going to be the next page where we're going to see some of the story here. Camden Hibbett back in 12th. How about Court Schmidt fighting up to 13th? Soto also fighting in the points, slips to 14th. Chris Lambeth, the new driver, moving up from Spec Miata. Top 5, not for this race. He was with us in Mid-Ohio, but still, nice run for him into 15th. So, wow, fireworks on that last lap. And the guy who had an amazing drive going, Hayden Manis, who came from well back in qualifying, knocking on the door of a top 5, ends up at the far back of the field. So, well, that was the first race, and it's usually the second one when the gloves come off. I'm not really sure what to expect now.
that was a very intense race. That almost made it seem like it was the final one of tonight, but I'm hoping we still have some action left for the second race because these guys were absolutely going at it from start to finish. There was almost no break, maybe for a couple minutes near the beginning, but the last 15 minutes, 10 minutes onwards, an absolute brawl near the front of this pack, and it was fantastic to watch.
And I'm just surprised you said at one point when you were looking at the Zoom camera on Camden that he was grinning. I'm not sure he'll be grinning now. I think he's pretty frustrated, and understandably so. That was a tough one. That was a tough one to take, I think.
Yeah, definitely a tough pill to swallow after what could have been so great. Yeah, I can tell from looking at the Zoom camera, the smile is turned upside down.
Yep.
Instead of from a frown, so he's going to be hoping for a much better finish in race number 2, and that's also going to set him back starting-wise to relatively poor finish. So he's going to have to come back from a little bit more for race number 2.
Yeah, from 12th. I mean, that's not ideal. Soto from 14th, but again for Skip Brock, after he took the checker, he was throwing that car, slewing it sideways. I think he was absolutely elated. But Nicholas Rice-Pudo again, solid finish as well, good in the points along with Beans. But I think what we're going to see, a little problem there for Seth Spolman. I think what's going to be really frustrating for Camden is he and Burkhardt are teammates.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're fighting for the lead, both of them going for a championship, having that, going door to door, tap here, nose to nose there. Camden has no problem with that. But here is Burkhardt well out of the championship. Mm-hmm. Camden definitely has an opportunity here to do something. You would have thought that Burkhardt would have had a no-touch policy when it comes to Camden and would have maybe tried to help Camden out a little bit. If we're trying to justify and create a training ground for real-world competition here, which is what Court Schmidt wants, banging doors with your near-point leading teammate when you're way out of it, that's not going to be very well received, I don't think.
Yeah, I feel like if we saw what we just saw happen in an actual racing series, I think the team would go up to you and be like, all right, please hand in your helmet and gloves, and you're no longer welcome at this organization. Because It's always a team game, especially in sim racing too.
Yeah.
It's very much a team game. You want to help out your teammate. You usually want to help out your teammate. Can't say that for every single driver, but if they're in a better, especially because like you mentioned, Burkhardt not in a championship position. He's just out there getting wins. So yes, it's fine if he gets the wins. Obviously, he can fight with his teammate, but you don't want to be in a position where you're putting them in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Especially when the points are tight. When he needs those points, it's not like has a huge lead. He's fighting. He's in the midst of it in third. Yeah. So every position counts, especially because Rasputo finished very well. Beans Forster also finished very well in comparison to Hibbett.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean that's really, the big story here. And I can see Morgan saying, "Yeah, I didn't, it wasn't contact between the two of us that knocked him off track at turn 3. Maybe not, but." All of the stuff that was going on beforehand with the contact and unnecessary side-by-side, 3 abreast and all that kind of stuff, that put him in a position to get hit by somebody there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, I 100% agree with you. And, it sucks because you're in a position, again, he's not in the championship fight. He's just trying to get out there and get wins. But, you got to weigh one thing. You either do well for yourself or help your teammate out who can possibly get a championship. And obviously, Ken and Hibbett probably not going to be too thrilled about the way that went. But
no, I would think not. Now, if Camden, was naturally back in 4th, 5th, 6th, and Rasputo and Forrester are up, fighting for the lead, and I'm Morgan Burkhardt. In that case, I go after those two. You bet, because I'm helping my teammate. Even if I may not have to touch him or do anything, but if I get in front of him, I'm at least taking away those winners' points, right? And they're scrapping for 2nd and 3rd. Game on, but not when it involves your teammate who is battling for the championship when you're not. And maybe Morgan's such an optimist and believer in his skill and massive confidence that he thinks he's still in this championship. Maybe that's the case. I don't know.
It could be. Well, I mean, wins like what we just saw will definitely get him back in the hunt. Just a matter of does he have enough races to get him back on through. We'll have to wait and see after this round. So if he can get another win, definitely chucks him up a lot of points. But we'll see how that plays out. Camden Hibbett set to start in 12th for this race, so he's got a bit of a work to do.
Well, Morgan came in here 172 points off of the lead of Rasputo, which is a ton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, as I said, coming in here, including these 2 races, there are 8 races left at 25 a win. That's 400 points. So it's not outside of absolute impossibility, but at almost 200 points adrift with the other drivers that are in this series, it's a push. You know what I mean? So, you've been having a great year in real world racing. Help your teammate here. I don't know. Just my 2 cents.
Well, I don't think every driver will agree with your sentiment there, Craig. Some will, some won't, but we'll see.
Course.
We'll see what the choice will be made here for race number 2. Morgan Burkhardt going to be leading them down. Skip Rock Jr. 2nd, Rasputo in 3rd, Forster up in 4th, and that was a great turn of events for him in the 23 machine. He's got a great finish in race number 1 and a great starting spot for race 2.
Well, yeah, you remember when we were talking about 2/3 of the way through, he was like 8th?
Yeah.
Because
he was dropping down the order.
Yeah, wrong spot, wrong time, getting bumped here and run wide there. And then those seas parted, and that's something Beans has been very adept at, is when there's a big carambolage in front of him, he somehow is just able to slide through them, pick his way through. And that number 11 of Jake Snedden, man, I'll tell you, Jake, impressive debut, rookie run here in SMX. Let's see if he can back it up in race 2, though, Finian. Yeah, this is the one where generally the elbows get even, this one, in the first race, the elbows are out. In the second race, it's a hockey game.
Moving back, Camden Hibbett starting in 12th. Expect to see him as one of those drivers that's going to be trying to climb back to the front, make up as many points as he can. And same thing for Joshua Soto, who's right in behind him in the number 14th in the number 77 machine. So he's also going to be pushing hard to the front. It's going to make it a little bit more interesting here to see some of the drivers back here in court. Schmidt, how about him? A solid debut up to 13th and finish in his first race. Race number 2. We'll see if he's got anything left to push. Just a little bit more, maybe break inside the top 10. I'm sure he'd be thrilled with that result.
Oh, you bet he would, especially coming out of the sick bed. So we'll see what he's able to do. On the other hand, with Hibbett alongside and Soto one row back, he may just close his eyes and say, go. Those two guys are going to be going so crazy here. Track temp down a little bit as we have some cloud cover, only by 3 degrees. But, hey, anything helps on a track that is this abrasive and hard on tires. Yeah, we haven't talked a lot about that, Finian. On this track, even these short 20-minute races, you've got to be a little bit mindful of tires.
Definitely have to be mindful, especially with how hard these drivers are pushing, especially near the front of the order. You may need to save a little bit to push that much harder near the end when you arguably might need it the most. We'll see. Will things calm down, or will things get just a little bit more out of hand, Greg?
I'm betting on the second option myself. I think this is going to be insane. And it's all about to get underway. The leaders through the final turn onto this long 3,000-foot straight. About halfway down is the starter's stand. Still a long run from there to turn number 1. We're green! Round and race 2 underway. Morgan Burkhardt just a nose ahead of Skip Brock, Bryce Pudo. Everybody's staying pretty much in queue. I see Ian Anderson. Look at Hayden Manis, man. That guy is just a starting demon, tries anything and everything. And John O'Mari, that was a massive. No, that's Jim Friedhofer having that big off. Manis caught out in that as well. Looks like Michael Brock at the back of the field too, but we're still side by each coming up through turn number. Look at this. Skip Brock, he's got position. He's got the lead. Burkhardt now pops out. Will Brock try and defend him or just let him hang him out around the outside? He did defend, and Burkhardt down to the inside. And it's going to be really difficult for Brock here to stay on. But look at that move. He keeps the nose in, gets a tap from Bees, who's going, come on, buddy, get after it here. And that propels Brock a nose ahead. And he's got position here through that crucial turn 8. But look at Burkhardt is not going to go quietly. Whoa. Way out over that exit curve. Oh, that's Burton. He's going to come across right in front of the field. Boy, that was fortunate for everybody. Look at this. Still side by side now down into turn 10.
And still not done yet. Still far from over. Still side by side for the lead. Burkhardt and Brock drag race to the front straightaway to the start-finish line. It'll be Burkhardt that'll lead that lap, but it's far from over. Here comes Hibbett, like you mentioned.
Yeah, Hibbett was 7th as they entered turn 10 from 12th, remember. And look at this. He could be 5th.
Wow.
And is by the time they get down into turn 1 and 2. And when we have a minute, Finian, I'd like to go back to that run for Hibbett through turn 10 and watch what he did entering 10 and the move on the exit.
I think you just saw him make a dive here for position. We'll try to take a look when we can. Try to make a move on Rice Pudo. He cannot. Here comes the 11 of Sneddon working his way, trying to take a top 5.
Boy, this guy just has no respect and no fear for the regulars in this championship. But unlike one Mr. Burkhardt here, I haven't seen Sneddon do anything that, in terms of contact or inadvertent anything. He's being really careful around all these guys, knowing he came into the championship late in the season.
Fantastic stuff here, and they finally sort themselves out for the lead, at least for now. Burkhardt had to skip Brock. Meanwhile, for second, Forster, Rice Pudo, Camden Hibbett fighting side by side for a position, and Camden Hibbett again, a great recovery through the field. That took next to no time at all. Thought it would take him at least a couple laps to work on through, but that took him next to no time. Here comes 11 right up ahead of him though, and actually pass him for 5th, and actually here comes Trace Hance as well to his left side.
And that is a triple draft going by a double draft, and look at that move by Sneddon. Judged it to perfection, forces Rice Pudo to go. Pudo, I don't know if he touched him, but man, Rice Pudo had to lock up.
Causing a major stack up here in the midfield. They're still fighting hard. Sneddon versus Hance fighting for 4th place here. Can he get it done around the outside? Hance will throw it into turn 4 and get the spot. Here comes Hibbett, door-to-door contact.
Yeah, Hibbett trying to take advantage of that. Gets up the side of the 11 of Sneddon. Now he's going to be on the outside. Can he make the move here? Down into 5. And looks like he's got it done. He's going to clear. Now Sneddon has got the gray of Rice Pudo in his mirrors.
Another driver seen marching up through the order. Joshua Soto, not as fast as Camden Hibbett, but working pretty strong. Up 4 spots already after starting 14th. He's got Deacon Greenfield and Dylan Lee just ahead of him before he gets closer to the leaders fighting it out near the front. And it looks, speaking of them, looks like they've calmed down for now.
Just a little bit here. You can see Burkhardt has opened up a smidge of a lead over Skip Brock, while Forster is just glued to him at this point. And now that Hibbett was able to clear the feisty Snedden, he's going after Trey's Hans. Gets the nose along the inside, just out deeps him into one. Trace races him clean. Turns down, thinking, maybe I can get a little overlap on the exit. But nice and respectful racing there, and Snedden just tucks in again. And I think this might be Deacon Greenfield.
It is trying to work.
Coming up on Soto, yep. Oh, look at that wild ride there by Dylan Lee.
And now has the 147 Ian Anderson working to Greenfield's outside. Ian Anderson trying to make the dive up the middle, or up the inside, I should say, and is still fighting hard with Deacon Greenfield on the exit through the carousel. They switch sides of the racetrack. And Greenfield trying to push him out, but he's still there. He's still a thorn in his side.
Yeah, 10th and 11th, man. They are going after it here, aren't they? Do you think you could take us back like 2-3 laps to that move by Hibbett coming through 10?
I can definitely try to. I'll have to take a couple big swings here, but give me a second. We'll take a look now as things have calmed down. I think this was the lap. I think I need to back up just a little bit more.
Yep, I think you're right. Yeah,
there we
it
go.
is.
Perfect. Wow, look how far back he was.
And watch what he does here. Turns in, swings wide, has the momentum. Look at that. He recognized what everybody else was going to do. That's a driver who was playing chess to absolute perfection.
Oh, as we go back live, something happened to the 11. Jake Snedden to see him dropping down the order.
Oh, what a shame. Oh, he and Hans getting together, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened if he miscalculated heading off into turn 1. Oh, yeah, I think sent it too deep, hit the 53 around he went, and the 11 went out and around. And I think trying to penalize himself.
Wow, what a shame. I mean, he didn't have one mark on his record book there. He just had driven such a clean race. But now this is going to get feisty, because Beans, not a great qualifier, but a fabulous racer. And he usually uses up tire trying to get to the front, gets there, and then might not quite have enough to fight with. He's been up there from the get-go, and look at this. He's saying, yeah, no, I'm not wasting any time. I want through. And Hibbett's back just a little bit. So Brock is the next one in the queue here. Look at that. I think Morgan Hibbert tried to take Beans in deep and have Beans make a little mistake, because Burkhardt ran a little wide in one. I think it was intentional, trying to show more entry speed, and Beans just didn't bite on that at all. And now that little bit of them going side by each, look what it's done here. It's bringing Brock up into a position to once again go after Burkhardt, and it's brought Hibbett right up to the back of Brock. And then if he gets through on Brock, it's Burkhardt, and that will be curious.
Yeah, and with that incident we saw with Snedden and Hans, that's effectively allowed the top 4 to kind of break away in their own little pack. Then heading on back, it's Ray Sputo leading the next group with himself. And how about Joshua Soto taking advantage of the chaos, up to 6th for him. This is a great recovery for the 77. He's got Dylan Lee behind him as well. Yeah,
man, he needed that, didn't he? And he is really doing a nice job. Kind of surprising to me that, well, because of that incident, Rice Pudo et al. Here, Soto, Lee, they all had to check up a little bit, as you said. That's cost them dearly. So we'll see what happens here. And I wonder, Finian, if Snedden, heading into turn 10, that's a very quick dab of the brake and down change. And I wonder if maybe he just fluffed the down change a little bit and didn't get the engine to help him slow down enough, and that's why he got into the back.
Yeah, I think that definitely could be it. It's really hard to get these things blown down with a manual gearbox. A rare and rarer sight on iRacing, as most cars shift to a much easier sequential transmission with the newer cars. As you look for a little exchange for position there between Michael Brook and Stefan Bladden for 15th position, and also notably Court Smith working his way up. He's in the top 10.
Yeah, Court doing an absolutely fabulous job right now. It's going to be interesting. He's got, I think it's Hayden Manis behind him, and Hayden is just really fast. So Court's got his work to do to keep him behind him, but we're coming up on halfway. But Court doing a really nice job here, fast and clean.
You can see him working in his sim, working hard, hacking at the wheel, getting it through the final corner, and trying to see if he can catch up to Deacon Greenfield, who's a little bit ways, just over a second ahead of him in 9th place. But a solid drive for the 33 of Court Schmidt as for the lead, and exchange as they head off into turn 1.
Here we go. The game's afoot, and here comes Camden Hibbett down underneath Brock, and looks like, well, Brock's still trying to stay around here on the outside, have that inside overlap heading into 3. He's there. It's going to affect Hibbett's. Yeah, Camden had to give him some space, and it didn't hurt him relative to Brock, but look at that, just that fast. It's 2-3 car lengths up to our lead duo.
And
talk about momentum here.
Yeah, these two continue to fight nose to tail, and actually they're fighting. It's allowed. I think Rice Puto looks like he's getting closer and closer. So
I think so.
Might have to not necessarily count him out of the picture, and he's bringing in Joshua Soto, another quick driver as well. So this battle for the lead far from over. The more that they fight, the more other competition can join them. I mean that's essentially what we saw at the end of race 1. They were so busy battling for the front. 5th and 6th place came back in, and they were nearly 3 wide on the final lap. I think we could definitely see a repeat of that, and I'm sure Kevin Hibbett doesn't want to see a repeat of what happened in race 1.
No, he surely doesn't. And right now, what we're seeing Burkhardt do up front, the field does not want to see this happen, as he is trying to make a little bit of a break here, and he's up by 0.3 of a second as they get on the brakes now down into turn 1. Forster was able to draw a little bit of that back using a little bit of a draft. But the fascinating thing to me is you watch the next time, go to that same sort of highest shot of the turn in to turn 10 and watch the aggressiveness of Burkhardt as he comes through there, just flicks the car, it rotates, and then just uses up more than everything on the exit, but the speed he carries is ridiculous. But you can see in certain spots here.
Whoopsie, man, went a little bit too far back.
They get into the twisty bits here.
There we go.
Yeah.
From up here is what you're talking about?
Yes. Yeah. Actually, no, the head-on one when they turn in.
Oh, I see.
He had it.
I see.
Yeah. So.
Right here in turn 10?
But a higher shot you had.
Ah. Which one higher shots? I'm trying to think. I don't have many higher shots.
Okay, well, don't worry about it. We'll see it again, I'm sure. But you're right. I mean, Rice Puto, not that long ago, was 3 seconds back. He's now under 2. So all this dicing and the fact that Soto is being absolutely perfect in terms of just working with Nicholas right now to get them to move up. They are closing that up. There's no question.
Yeah, taking a look at the previous laps, Rice Puto's previous lap, 122.3 for Skip Brock, who's the last driver in the leading group, 122.6, so 0.3 a lap. He should be there, and you can see him right there pushing the limits out of turn 5, kicking up the gravel. He's pushing hard because he knows he could still be a factor in this race. I mean, effectively now he's kind of caught up there through these last few corners. He's there.
Yeah, there's over 6.5 minutes to go, so we've got a little bit of time here, and he's essentially there. And now it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive Beans gets on Burkhardt and how Hibbett responds to that. I wouldn't be surprised to see if Hibbett gets through on Beans, Hibbett getting really aggressive on Morgan. I wouldn't be surprised at that at all.
Through the final corner. And a slipstream down the front straightaway. 5th and 6th place, Rasputo and Soto have caught back up, and a little bit of a bump draft from Hibbett to Beans Forrester to push him back up here into the fray. What does Morgan Burkhart do? He will stay in line. A late dive from the 23.
And then he thinks better of it because it was a little too late, I think. And he may have been trying to play a little mental game on Burkhart, making him think, yeah, I'm coming. And speaking of coming, here comes Rasputo. He's going to slide through on Skip Brock, maybe. Brock has to give it up here as they head into turn 3. And Soto, as a result, might actually get a pretty decent run here as well. And the one thing about turn 3, we didn't talk about it much at the top of the show. You tend to drive it like a sweeper, even though it's got that abrupt little climb and then drop over the apex. But you drive it pretty much like a sweeper, even though it's got some elevation.
Yeah.
But then that little bit of road comes back at you as you exit from the right. And that's where everybody drops those tires. But you just have to deal with that.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. Under 5 minutes remaining for these guys. Rasputo trying to knock out the door, already past Skip Brock. So 1 down, 3 more to go. The time is potentially running out for him, but he's definitely, I think, far from giving up.
Yeah, I think, what are we lapping here? 120. So I think we got this and 2 more to go. And here comes Beans. I think Morgan just protecting. And let's see. Yeah, he's going to go in deep. And Beans is going to try and cut down underneath. Morgan, that was a great piece of driving by Morgan on the exit of 1, because he could tell Beans wanted that over-under move, and he just tightened up his exit, didn't float out as wide, and Beans had nowhere to go and just had to breathe out of it.
Rasputo a little bit wide on the entry into turn 4. I think that cost him a little bit of time. Heading down now, working towards turn 5. And side by side for the lead for just a second. That's going to allow the back few drivers to close back up. And still side by side to the carousel.
What a dive move by Beans down to the inside. And if he can stay put here, it's going to be tough. Morgan's going to have it. Here comes Hibbett. Yep, Beans tried to stay outside, and you can see him get just a little bit sideways, had to breathe out of it, and Hibbett pounced. He and Beans bump. Now remember, these guys are 2nd and 3rd in the championship, Beans and Hibbett. So no love on, I mean, not that they're enemies or anything, but they're going for a championship. And then the gray car behind them is the point leader, and the outlier is Burkhart up front. So this is going to get crazy fun here, folks.
Yeah, I'm sure Ken Hibbett's really hoping Burkhart shows him a little bit more love in race number 2 here, that he needs to make up some points, and this would be a great opportunity for him to take a win, get those extra points to push him forward. But here comes Rasputo trying to make a move, tries to make a move to the inside of Hibbett. He blocks him off.
Yeah, but it might get him up alongside. Nope, he couldn't get up alongside Beans, and in fact, Hibbett, defending on Rasputo, lets Beans slide back into, well, almost slide back into second. Now Beans has to just say, I'm coming across. But look what all that's done. Look where Burkhart is. Suddenly up the road by half a second here. And look at Soto swinging the outside of Brock here.
Soto trying to see if he can get a top 5 out of this. A great drive for him, up +9 spots for him. Yeah. Similar to Camden Hibbett, who's also +9 spots, but Skip Brock still trying not to give this up. He's going to fight tooth and nail, but through this right-hander, I should say, he will get the spot ahead of Skip Brock for now. But looking back up the leaders here, all their games, all this fighting, as they come to the line, it'll be 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and this might be exactly what Burkhart wanted, to open up a gap and just basically let these guys scrap for second on back. I'll guarantee you, all these guys, Forrester, Hibbett, Rasputo, they would all like to get up there and battle with Morgan. But after the way Morgan roughed him up in that first race, I don't think there's anybody that wants to get to Morgan's bumper right now more than Hibbett.
They've had a great run through turn 1, trying to catch back up to Beans Forrester, heading towards 3, and see if he can make another move, maybe get somewhat closer to Burkhart to potentially make a move, or at least finish ahead of his points competitors. That's got to be the main goal for him.
Absolutely. You can see getting a little wide there. Hibbett had a great run, had to sort of check up just a little bit. And it's not like like Burkhardt's way up the road. But you can see Hibbett. Oh, gets into the back of Beans, slows everybody down. That just wasn't. I mean, I know maybe he's trying to give a message to Beans that I'm quicker, but as soon as Beans got sideways in front of everybody, Hibbett had to check up. That parked race, Puto, Soto, Brock, et al. And now Morgan is up the road to the tune of about 8.5 tenths. Oh, hear that push at the front by Forster. He has thrown everything at this right now as the white flag is out, and here comes Hibbett. Hibbett's going to try and do it on his own, though, Finian. Now Rice Puto jumps down with Hibbett.
Looking at Dicey, Soto looking to the outside of Rice Puto in behind, maybe a little bit too hard. 3 wide for Soto. He goes out. Hibbett pushing the 23 out wide and trying to hold off Rice Puto.
Yep. Exactly. And look at that. Rice Puto trying to come down. Yeah, he's got his 2 right tires literally in the grass. He was fighting it so hard. Got him offline just a little bit, though, and he had to finally give it up to Beans here. So Hibbett now slots into what has become a distant second, over a second back from Burkhardt. So the battle is here. Burkhardt's gone unless he throws it away. Hibbett second, Forster, Rice Puto. That is third, second, and first in the points in the second, third, and fourth spots, man. How fun is this?
We'll see. Does anyone have any final send into the final corner here? Rice Puto potentially a run on Beans Forster. Does he pull out and make a dive? Gonna have a look here heading to the final corner.
He thought about it. He decides, nope, gonna wait, try and maybe get a draft run on Beans. See if Beans makes a mistake. Beans did not. Hibbett floated a little wide. Burkhardt's gonna get another win. Hibbett will get second. And Beans just fends off Rice Puto for that third spot by a very scant margin. A tenth of a second at that. Here come the rest of the players through. Brock still a nice solid 5th. Soto 6th. Anderson a good scrap to 7th. Lee 8th. Manis 9th. Greenfield 10th. Wow. There was less fireworks in that than I anticipated, but it was primarily because Burkhardt just checked out there in those last 5 minutes.
Yeah, and Camden Hibbett taking home second place. I think maybe a little bit frustrated. Oh, I would say he was angry about that. He's got a smile on his face, so I think some friendly rivalry here between these two.
Probably. At this point, it's friendly.
We'll see.
I'm not sure the officials will view it as such.
As we work through the final few corners and enjoy the victory for Burkhardt. That's 2 for 2, if I'm not mistaken, this round, correct?
He did it. Yeah, he swept. He's sort of, that's been sort of his MO. When he shows up, he often, wins at least one and sometimes gets them both, which he did here. Hibbett, who came in third in the points, is not going to hurt himself in that regard at all. Forster came in second in the points. So by my reckoning, Hibbett they could be even closer, such as that was here. And then Rice Puto there in that 4th spot. So there's your top 3 in the points, second, third, and fourth in inverted order. Skip Brock, second and a 5th, man. What a great event for him. Josh Soto fighting back after a problem. And he maybe could have done a little bit better, but remember, he went to that outside move trying to get into turn 1 and realized it wasn't on, just checked up, so he didn't turn into anybody. Then Ian Anderson, Dylan Lee, Hayden Manis, a fight back drive from dead last, remember.
Yeah, 13 plus 13 spots.
Yeah, incredible drive. And then Deacon, top 10.
Yeah, solid run for him. Then Trace Hands in 11th place. Didn't quite go anywhere. Actually went back a couple spots, back to 11th. Daniel Higgins, quiet day for him in the 9 car in 12th. Raymond Blethen, 13th for him. Court Schmidt, a spot drop back for him in the 33 and 14th. Jake Sneddon, of course, we saw what happened to him. What could have been a top 5, fortunately wasn't meant to be, back in 15th for him. Seth Spoolman in 16th. Michael Brook in 17th. Chris Lambert, 18th. Elliot Burton, 19th. And rounding out your top 20, Stefan Bledden.
Yeah, indeed. Now, tell you what, there's 21st, Buttermore, Friedhofer, Mueller, and Jose de las Casas, all of them having minor issues of some sort or major ones. And I really have to say, Jake Snedden really showed me something. And I think he just had a little problem with the down change into 10 and thus just, overran. And, you mentioned it, the fact that we're using the old, gated shifter, you got a heel and toe, all of that. And to me, that's how race driving should be. And, I love that it's being done here. And you can see when it's done right, it's a thing of beauty for sure.
Absolutely. Let's get through our interviews here. We got the top 5 waiting in the booth, and I think they definitely all deserve to have be talked to after a fantastic showing here in both races. Let's talk first with Skip Brock.
Hey, Skip, second in the first race and absolutely scrappy 5th in this one. You've got to be pleased. I noticed when you took the checker in that first race after coming through the mess, you were just slinging that car like you were going through a slalom in celebration.
Yeah, it's always nice to just be handed a podium.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. And the second race, I guess you could call it scrappy. I would call it just painful, just getting past one car at a time. I guess I was a little slow on the straightaway. I don't know. I got passed while I was in the draft. It kind of sucked.
Oh,
but I was hoping they would, crash each other again, and then it just didn't happen. I don't know why they didn't get into each other on that last
Well,
race.
I think they would have, except for the fact Burkhardt ended up driving away out at the front.
Well, yeah, and that's what I wanted to do at the beginning of the race, and then Beans
Sure.
got in between us, and he decided Burkhardt was too slow, so started fighting him, and that brought everyone else back in. So that I was real happy about that.
I bet you
Turn a
were.
3-car battle into like a 7-car battle. That's always good.
Absolutely. And I know you came in here a ways out of the points, but you didn't hurt yourself at all today with that second and a 5th. I know, it's a long ways out, but you always keep fighting for it, and you're doing exactly that. Well done, man.
Well, especially with the tracks coming up, anything can happen. So
you that.
You never know.
Absolutely. You never know, Thanks so much, Skip.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, talking to Skip Brock Jr., we'll move on to our 4th place finisher in this race, Nicholas Rice-Puto.
Well, Nick, quite an eventful couple of races for you here. Boy, did you have to earn them.
Golly. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I've just been focusing on trying to get a good first race and then sending it a little harder in the second race. Unfortunately, we had that little stack up, and I was playing catch up the whole time.
Yeah.
But good points overall.
Yeah, absolutely good points. And obviously, came in here with a nice 20-point lead. We are getting down to the end of things. Every point is important here. And, you obviously, are you just throwing it in, or are you now thinking, don't, whatever you do, don't wreck?
I've been thinking whatever you do, don't wreck. I kind of used up both of my drop weeks, so I have to be very careful.
Yeah. Well, I kind of figured that you've been doing a great job driving with the points in mind. Getting aggressive when you can, and getting out of trouble when you can. And it's just been fun to watch you play this game of chess, man.
I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to watching this one back.
Oh, yeah, I think you will. You're going to like it.
All right, Nicholas, thanks for talking to us.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Moving on to our next driver, we'll talk to Beans Forrester, finishing 3rd in this race.
Hey, Beans, that was some race right there, and both of them were really good for you. And but I'll tell you, that scrap you had early with Morgan, you were fast today, bud.
Thanks, man. Yeah, race 1 didn't go as planned. I had to make a couple accident avoidance maneuvers, and it just sent me down the path like a train. And there's just nothing I could do from it. So I got really lucky at the end there. Thanks to Trace for giving me that bump towards the end. We kind of worked together a little bit at the end of that first race. And I got really lucky with the big one that happened up in front. So over in the race 2, I just wanted to go for it, after the battle that me and Camden had last week at Mid Ohio, I just kind of wanted to go for it again and see what we can do, see what kind of show we can put on.
Well, you put on a good one. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I just the championship kind of. If I can have more races like that, the championship, I don't really care what happens points wise. I just want to have more fun like that.
Well, it was sure fun to call. I can only imagine what it was like inside the car. Then when Camden came up on you and skipped there at the end, it allowed Morgan to get away. But you and Camden then had one heck of a fun little scrap.
Yeah, I was. I kind of overworked my front tires a little too much, so I was just going.
I heard you
too
pushing
deep on
a little
binders.
bit.
Yeah, I was going a little too deep on the binders, and I was just blowing apexes, and then, but it made for a good scrap though, which was fun. It was great.
Well, that it did, and I'll tell you what, you may be thinking that you got lucky in that first race. We had you back in 8th at one point. You came through with the podium. Sometimes it's luck, but you've done that more than a few times. You have a knack for guiding yourself through those carambolages. So give yourself a little bit more credit, man. You deserve it.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate that.
You got it.
All right, Bean, thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, man. How we going?
All right, and shouldn't say last, but certainly not least, because we haven't reached him just yet. We'll take a chance and talk with our second place finisher, Camden Hood. I'm sure he wishes he was the last one to get to talk to us, but unfortunately, Camden wasn't exactly the win you would have liked as far as points are concerned.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. The race 1 deal was, I think, more of a racing incident. Me and Nick have been talking about it here in the interview room, and it's 3-wide racing at a track that can barely fit 3-wide racing, so it's bound to happen at some point, and it's racing. It's not a racing. Unfortunately, stuff like that happens. We'll move on. I don't know how the points will shake out. I don't even know if I'm in the points, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you are.
Am I? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I haven't looked all season, so I kind of figured I was out just because of the amount of races I missed. But so we'll move on to VIR maybe next week.
VIR.
I mean, solid drive back through in race 2 there, 12th to 2nd. So I was really happy with that performance back, and I was trying to get Beans back up to Morgan, and he would just never go. I was like, I would get him up to Morgan's back bumper, and I was like, go! Like I needed him to start racing because I had a bunch of front bumper damage, and I needed some help to get by Morgan, I think, or at least have a. I think I was gonna get one shot if I got around Beans and focused on Morgan myself. But then again, it's Morgan, so one shot isn't guaranteed. And if you get that one shot, it's gonna be really hard to get around. So, I was kind of playing it somewhat safe in the idea that I thought I could get around Beans, but I was thinking maybe if I could get Beans to play with Morgan a little bit, then maybe I could get both of them and catch Morgan by surprise, but didn't work out and ended up being a P2 finish, which good for me points wise. I guess now that I know I'm in the points, I'm assuming it's Beans and Nick up at the front.
You are correct.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, I haven't even looked at the points all season, so good to know that that's still on the radar heading into VIR, and we'll get ready for Virginia next week.
Well, now I understand why you're being so diplomatic regarding how that first race went with your teammate, because you didn't have any idea where you were in the points, so you didn't realize what he may have been doing to you in terms of the points.
Yeah.
But great job, and I'll tell you, your drive from 12th to 2nd here was just superb, man, and be very proud of that one, and cannot wait for VIR.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I was pretty happy. I came top 3-ish by the 2nd lap, and that was my goal. I told Morgan in the Discord, I was like, dude, I'm gonna be top 3 by the end of lap 2. Watch. And it was like 5th by the end of lap 1. I was like, I told you, I'm coming.
Yeah.
I'm going for this one. I was hot after race 1.
I bet you were.
Looking back on it, I shouldn't have been. I think I've cooled down since then, but I was not very happy with how race 1 ended up. So
I don't blame you, man.
My charge back through the field was very, very aggressive at the start of race 2 here.
Well, it was awesome. And in my mind, we have that new award, the move of the season.
Yeah.
And that run from you as you came through 10 swung out, had your left tires in the gravel, saw what everybody else was doing, just dove super aggressively back to the right and went from, I think, 8th to 5th. Right there was just phenomenal, man. Talk about playing a game of chess.
Yeah, that's how turn 10 works. I mean, when you run through there side by side, if you're the 3rd car in line, or in this case, whatever it was, the 8th car in line, you're going to have a better run than everybody else. So I knew that going in, and I just kind of lifted early. I was like, okay, I need myself space to time this right. And yeah, definitely just swung out wide, ran the corner as fast as I could just to get as much exit speed, and really just carried it all the way down the front straight. I was praying that there was going to be a gap for me to go through there. I thought I think it was Trace in front of me. I was hoping he wouldn't cover it off, but ended up working out, and I think I ended up, like you said, 4th or 5th out of that exchange. So pretty happy with that move and how that turned out.
No, it was spectacular, man. So fun to watch you race.
I appreciate it, guys. We'll see you next week.
You bet.
All right, thanks for talking to us, Bean. And last but certainly not least, take a chance and talk to our race winner for both races, Morgan Burkhardt.
Hey, Morgan, you came out swinging and you swept with a big broom, man. Pretty good day.
Yeah, not bad. I'm pretty happy with that. I'll take that. It was a lot of fun tonight. This is a track I hold pretty dear to my heart. It's one that's really, really close to where I live. I grew up here, so it's always a good time to show up to Summit Point and have a good time with the guys. That's really what it is. Like this field is so much fun to race with. It was really, really clean. I'd never even considered doing 3 wide through the final corner, and we executed it and perfectly. In race 1, and had a nice run down the front straight into turn 1. So it was just a lot of fun to be back out here after missing a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I bet it was. And one thing I was marveling at was, I think it's your commitment, but also just the way you get your car to rotate a little bit on the entry to into turn 10. I was watching really closely, and you just get that thing to pivot a little bit. Nobody else was doing that. And it just gave you such a great run onto that obviously crucial front straight. I mean, it just, and what a corner to have that kind of an advantage in.
Exactly. Like the most important corner on this racetrack is turn 6, coming out of the carousel and up the hill. But in a car like this, it's pretty much straight from 6 all the way down to turn 1. So if you can get through turn 10 pretty well, that's a huge advantage. And like you said, that little extra piece of rotation, it's all got to do with the downshift and the clutch release. So I found out a little bit. It's not really realistic, but you can use it in a pinch. I know a couple of Spec Miata guys do it in the real world, but you do your downshift and you'll hit the brakes, put the clutch in, give it a little bit of blip. And then on your clutch release, you just drag it a little bit and slip the clutch out, and that basically binds up the rear axle so that when you're turning into the corner, it takes a little bit of grip away, and then you can release the clutch as you're turning in, and it acts a little bit like a passive handbrake without actually locking the rear wheels. And that's something that I've gotten really tuned over the last 3 years of running this series, and that's one of the most powerful things with this car, especially with the SM, with the ridiculous tire wear that you got. If you could get really good at slipping the clutch out on entry, it was really helpful in just getting a little bit of pitch when you needed it.
Well, and it nulls out any inherent push, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Right, like the car's overall has less grip because it's hotter and it's not producing as much lateral G-force. But if you can just change the trajectory of the car on entry, it's basically free rotation, right? So once you get to the middle of the corner, you have the same push as everybody else, but you're not fighting anywhere near as hard to get to that point. So it's super, super powerful.
Well, and it's super, super effective, and you put on a clinic, man, especially in that second race. Well played, sir. Are we how many races are you gonna make for the rest of the year? We got 3 great tracks coming up.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna make next week.
Okay.
And then, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, I'm going to be in Long Beach. I know why.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in Long Beach for the IndyCar race the weekend after that.
Yeah.
And not entirely sure about the finale, but I'm going to hope to make as many of these as I can.
All right. Well, we sure hope so, and I'm glad you're going to be at VIR, man. That's cool. And I understand why you love this track for all the reasons you were saying, but it just looks like it's a freaking blast to drive, man. So
Oh, it is. It is the flow of this place, the history. It's just incredible, and even if it was a terrible track to race on, I think I'd still love it just because I've spent so much of my lifetime here. I've met so many awesome people, and really started me on my path. Really happened at this racetrack, so it's always special.
It's home.
There you go.
There you go. And thank you, man. I look forward to seeing what you can do at the VIR.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right.
All right, and with that, it's going to be wrapping up interviews here from Summit Point. And that was some fantastic action we saw. We saw race 2 is a lot calmer than what we thought we would see compared to race 1, because race 1 was absolutely off the walls, I should say. Balls to the walls, if anything. These drivers throwing everything at it, 3 wide action. Even race 2, they were going 3 wide and diving in on each other. There's a lot of aggressive action, but the best part of it was aggressive for the most part, fairly clean, all things considered. A little bit of beating bagging, but, as the old saying goes, Rubbin's racing.
Well, that's exactly right, and obviously things are going to happen, and you could hear all of the drivers talking about it. It's a track that difficult to pass on, and easy to run side by side, but difficult to do 3 wide, and so things are going to happen. And I really thought that the second race was going to be really, really ugly, and it turned out to be pretty darn clean. So that's pretty cool. Hey, Finian, we need to say thanks once again to Full Send Sims, Court Schmidt. There you can see Beans, who's another part of the Full Send Sims family. Practice makes podium. Court is a firm believer that sims are designed first and foremost to be a tool to improve real-world racing, and they do an incredible job of that. And also have to say a huge thank you to Sawbelt coming on board with us. And just great to have them with us. For over 5 decades, they've been known for quality and innovation through vigorous research and development. Then Farah, they have been just in their 3rd year with their new ownership and new direction. They still, for the spectators in particular, one of the greatest values for racing on the planet. You got to come to a Farah race and check it out. There's one in a couple of weeks up at Sebring, if that's your neck of the woods. Then Final Turn Motorsports. We need to say a huge thank you to Rob Greenwood for the remarkable work they do. A Miata tranny builder, full service prep shop, full trackside support. And also a big thanks to 3P Logistics, owned by Frank Rodriguez, also with us from the very beginning. And not only do they handle all logistical support for you for every part of it, they also provide race car storage, maintenance, repair, and transportation. And finally, a huge thanks to Wine Country Motorsports, the racer's resource for so much. Best customer service in the business, and the reason is they answer the phone when their internet competitors often do not. So with that, Finian, any final thoughts from you? It's been a blast to have you back and call a race with you. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Always glad to come back for these group of drivers. They always somehow manage to put on a show. Some drivers maybe think these cars maybe be a little bit too slow, but honestly, some of the slower cars, as we seen tonight, can put on a fantastic show and some great racing.
Yeah, and especially this NC version that we took the weight off and turned into a true SMX level car. They're just a little bit feistier and more fun to drive, and we're seeing that, I think, play out. Reminder once again, talking about it, we've heard it from some of the guys. Next round of the championship is at Virginia International Raceway, then Road America, and then Watkins Glen. Talk about an amazing triple group of tracks to round out with. But Virginia next Tuesday night, hope to see you there. For Finian, I'm Greg Creamer, and for the absent Kyle Heyer, who's busy out in Sonoma getting ready to go with the Toyota GR86 program. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next Tuesday night.